Okay, good morning everybody. It's Wednesday, 31st of May 2017, just gone 10 o'clock. This is Alan here in the New Anglia Growth Hub, providing free and impartial face-to-face support for businesses in Norfolk and Suffolk. We're working with Barclays to present a series of webinars. Today's subject is all about cybersecurity. It's called Keeping Your Business Safe from Cyber Criminals. And earlier this month, of course, we had that major incident involving a ransomware attack which affected over 230,000 computers. And of course, the NHS was hit, thousands of devices effectively disabled, appointments missed, surgeries cancelled, increased delays for patients. Obviously, that was a massive attack. But I guess what we're looking at today is how you can protect your small business. I mean, that was an unprecedented attack, but there are smaller steps there are steps you can take to protect your small business from cybercrime. So if you want to participate today, you can type your questions in. Just hit the raise your hand button, and we can come to you. Just a couple of comments that came in before this on email. Tina says, we're an unincorporated charity with no IT department. Our clients are vulnerable people, and I'm concerned about protecting their information and ours. And Nicola says, I've previously been conned by an email requesting payment. This has made me more aware, but I would like to know if I'm doing everything possible to avoid this happening again. So I want to introduce Joe Cooksey. Joe's a digital eagle for Barclays, and Joe's aim is to help business customers to grow their business through digital, but also to help protect them from online threats. So good morning, Joe.
Morning, Alan, and morning, everybody. Welcome, everyone, and hopefully, yes, I'm just checking that my transitions are working for my presentation. So hopefully today, after today's session, you'll have a good idea of some of the threats that are out there against businesses and how to protect yourself. I just introduced myself so you know who's speaking to you. It's always nice to have a face to put to the name. So my name's Joe Cooksey. As Alan said, I'm a business digital eagle for Barclays. I'm also an analytics superfan, so contrary to the subject that we're covering today, I'm very passionate about digital. And for those of you who were on the digital marketing webinar I did last month, you'll probably see I have a real passion for how people can use it in a positive way as well. I'm qualified through Google Squared. I've got a diploma in digital marketing, foundation degree in digital marketing. I'm currently studying computer science at the Open University. I play hockey for Harleston Magpies Hockey Club, and I do grow and protect their business through digital. And the first question I wanted to sort of raise today is actually the question that people quite often ask me when I go out and see them is, what is digital? Because digital is actually the ability to scale and to make efficiencies. It should be something that's an extension from the physical world into the digital world, and it shouldn't be something that's seen as alien and that somebody else has to deal with. So, for example, the comments I quite frequently get are things like, that's the IT problem, that's IT, that's nothing to do with us, that's the young person in the office who does our social media, that's what digital is. Digital should be considered from the business owners, and they should have to understand what the outputs are, not necessarily the wizardry that happens in between. So your digital presence is your shopfront online, your website, your social media profiles, whether that's personal or your business profiles. You then need to be found. So to find you online, you could use Google, you can use map entries, you can use directories. And then you have networking as well. So you've got the ability to network with people and connect with new people all over the world 24 hours a day should you wish to. And it's really important that you take steps in the physical world to protect yourself, and you do the same thing online as well. So you should take basic steps to protect yourself, just like when you leave the house in the morning, I hope you lock the front door. When you leave a car in a car park, I hope that you don't leave your laptop on the front seat or your bag on the front seat in clear view. Now, we take those steps pretty much automatically now to protect ourselves, and that's because they're common sense and we're aware of the threats that are out there. And the purpose of this presentation today is to make you aware of the digital threats that are out there and the steps that you can take that are as simple as not putting your laptop on the front seat of the car to help protect yourself. I'm going to go through in a moment the top threats to businesses and what I see around those, but I did want to start with a slight caveat. I'm very passionate about digital. Some of the things I'm going to share with you in a moment are probably going to be quite scary. I don't want to encourage people to go home and pull the wires out the wall. This is not what this is about, okay? Digital is really beneficial for businesses, and in fact 93% of new business is won through digital. So whether that's coming from people finding you online in a search or being recommended you face-to-face and going home and researching you before they reach out and make contact. So please don't take the message from this as you shouldn't engage with it at all. And as you'll probably see from some of it as we go through, you don't really have much of a choice either because stuff is out there that you can't control. So these are the top threats to UK businesses at the moment. Hopefully most of you are aware of what phishing is. My favourite phishing email is still the Nigerian astronaut who's been stuck on the space station. Unfortunately, he's been there for 15 years now, earning $1 million a year in antisocial pay, but now he's bored and missing his family and wants to come home. And this very kind Nigerian civil servant is offering you for the small price of $3,000 the ability to access this money. He needs you to give him $3 million of the $15 million to pay for the rocket fuel to get his friend home. However, you can keep the rest. Now, I'm fairly confident most people on this webinar wouldn't fall for that scam. However, if you send out 1 million of those emails, around 20 people, 23 people will pay the money. Now, there is another type of phishing out there which people are less aware of, and it's called spear phishing. Now, we're going to go through that when I cover off social engineering in a little bit, but what it is basically is finding out information about your target. So phishing is casting a net very wide and sending out emails to thousands of people. Spear phishing is sending people an email to a person or an organization, but doing your research first and making sure that that email is far more believable. Now, why do fraudsters use or send out phishing emails? Well, there's 3 reasons basically. The first one I've already covered, to get people to just pay them money, plain and simple. The second reason is that people click on a link, it takes them to a fake website, and they input personal information or information that is necessary for the cyber criminal to actually attack the person or business. The third reason is to download malicious software onto your computer. Now, quite often people will click on the links in emails and nothing will happen, or it'll pop up and say page 404, oh sorry, error 404, page not found. And what it's doing in the background is actually downloading a virus onto your computer, and once it's completed that, the virus is then able to be used by the attacker. Malicious software is the second biggest threat to UK businesses at the moment. And it can range from things like the WannaCry virus, which is the one that made the news a couple of weeks ago. That was a ransomware virus. So what it did, once it had been downloaded onto your computer, it encrypted all of your files. So it locked you out of your computer and you had to pay, and it's only about £280 the ransom for this one, you had to pay about £280 to get the key to unlock your computer and access your data. The only option you have at that point with the ransomware attack, if you want to recover it without paying the ransom, is to wipe your machine and install it from your most recent backup. Now that sounds like quite a good idea. However, from experience and from surveys, we know that 72% of businesses acknowledge that they don't back up regularly enough, and over 50% of businesses that do back up haven't checked whether their backup works. And if you leave your backup plugged into your computer, guess what? The virus goes into that as well. So that's the first type of malicious software. There are also things like Trojans. They allow hackers to use your computer for malicious purposes. And when I say computer, I'm not just talking about your laptop. You've got smart devices like a thermostat or a fridge or a webcam, a security cam, light bulbs, etc. They're all mini computers, and if the hacker can get software on them, they can use them for malicious purposes as well. And we'll cover off some of the activities they can undertake with those a little bit later. You also have things like keylogger viruses, and you have things, viruses that just send data dumps back to the hacker regularly every day or every week, etc. Now, I have a question for all of you online at the moment. So, Alan, if we could bring up the first poll, please, that'd be great. So the question is, how long do you think on average it is between a cyber criminal hacking you and then actually instigating attack? So do we think it's 10 days, 25 days, 150 days or 230 days? We'll just wait for all you guys to vote now. It's very interesting voting. It's fairly mixed, but most of you are going for either 10 days or 150 days. We're almost all there on the vote. I'll close it in a moment. Okay, so with 89% of you on the who are on the line at the moment voting, or 94% now, we're saying on average we think it's 150 days. The answer actually is it's 230 days. So it's 230 days between when a breach is initiated and when the hacker actually attacks you or instigates their attack. And a prime example of this is the third fraud that's on the list of top threats to UK businesses, which is invoice fraud, or more better known as impersonation fraud, because it could be a fake invoice or it could be a fake internal payment. We do cover that off in a little bit more detail later, but that's an example of a crime that has been enabled by cyber, which means it's something that existed beforehand, but the cyber criminals are hacking people and waiting for the right opportunity to strike. They'll wait for the end of the tax year, a busy time for the business, one of the business owners to be abroad, or waiting for people to have a new relationship that they're building and then slip in a fake invoice and hope that they will get paid. I'll give you some numbers in a little bit on that as well. It's something that's really prevalent. One fact from Barclays, if you wish, on this one is there's about £1 million a month paid away to fraudsters from our customers, and 90% of that is through really simple frauds like impersonation frauds and other basic social engineering frauds. The final one on the list here is data theft. Now, although it's the fourth on the top threats to businesses, this is one that has many implications. So we've already talked about one of the malicious software attacks which can impact your data, which is the ransomware or crypto locker attacks as well. They can block you out of your systems and you're not able to access your systems. Obviously, that means not being able to access your data means that your business can't maintain itself or can't continue to trade. And now it's thought 98% of businesses can't survive a day without critical business information. So that obviously is significant, but also your data has other value as well. So when you're looking at your data that you hold, your research and development data, your future plans, your customer lists, all of those are valuable to cyber criminals. If they could steal your customer list, they might be able to blackmail you and say, if you don't pay me X amount of money, I'm going to tell your customers that I've got their personal details. And once you pay the ransom, most times they tell the customers anyhow. So that's one thing that could happen with it. That doesn't just obviously cost you, because there could be fines for that, but also it costs you reputation-wise as well. But your research and development data is also really important. And we see lots of cases of businesses that don't remove access from people who've left the business. Those people go on and join a competitor, and that competitor then continues to win tenders for contracts or win business off their previous employee for the next 6 months or so until they realise, oh, I hadn't removed their access. So there are a number of reasons that data is a real threat to businesses. There are some regulations as well coming in next year. So in May next year, there's new regulations, which is a replacement for the Data Protection Act called the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. And that's going to have a significant impact on businesses that are breached. So when they do lose data, there's going to be a change in the fines, and also an individual needs to be personally responsible for the data in every business.
Joe,
the fines are going up.
Sorry, Joe, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, just because this is a bit where I get in a quick plug. That is actually the topic of our next webinar, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, so I can share details about that, but that'll be happening at the end of June.
Brilliant. And I would urge you all, if you don't know what I'm talking about, to get on that webinar and start investigating yourself. So I say the fines are going up to £20 million or 4% of global turnover, whichever is the greatest. So it's something that is worth taking seriously. You also need to report breaches within a certain time frame, and also things like opt-in forms online. They cannot be auto opt-in. So you need to give people the opportunity to opt into marketing by clicking a button, not just having a button that's already checked that they have to uncheck if they want to opt out of marketing.
Joe,
So
are you okay to take a question at this point?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, so Jackie's just typed this in here saying, I have an automatic backup that runs in the background while I'm working. Does this leave me at risk of downloading malicious software to my backup?
It completely depends on what type of backup it is. So there are backup companies and backup services out there that have protection, so they'll back up in silos. What I would do is actually do a little bit of research about your backup and find out whether it's still connected to your system. So once it's backed up, is that backup connected to your system, or is it independently stored? That's probably the thing you need to look at for the service that you're getting. If it's not, so for example, if you've plugged in a external hard drive into a USB port and regularly run backups on that, if it's connected at the time of you getting a virus, you're likely to have that encrypted as well. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you, Joe.
No problem. So we've covered off the top threats to UK businesses, and I'm hoping, there we go, that we're now going to move on, and although I may have scared you, and I might do a little bit more in a moment, I want to tell you how you can protect yourself as well. And the way we're going to help you do that is actually take you through the hacker mindset. So give you an idea of what a hacker is actually trying to do. Now, this isn't about me teaching skills to people around being able to hack. It's showing you how your information can be used by the hacker and some of the obvious things they're trying to do. A bit like the opportunity trying to break your car window and steal the thing on the front seat. So we're going to start with social engineering, and Alan's probably getting a little bit nervous at this point because he's kindly volunteered to be my victim on this one. So social engineering is the manipulation of situations and people that result in targeted individuals divulging confidential information. So where do you start when you're looking to socially engineer someone? Well, it could be from a business card, it could be from going through their rubbish bins, but much easier than that now is you can sit at home and you can go onto Google and you can Google your victim. So I have typed into Google in speech marks, Alan's full name, and where he works, the location of where he works. The point of putting the speech marks around his name is it searches for his name together in articles and not those search terms somewhere in articles. So I'm much more likely to find out information about him. So this is what I get on the search. I get some articles that he's been involved in, and I also get obviously his lovely picture of him on the New Anglia website as well, looking very smart. And look at that, I've got a telephone number and I've got an email address, so I can jot them down straight away. So first search on there, first hit, and I've got some information about him. Now next, there was a LinkedIn profile on there as well, and so onto his LinkedIn profile, again a lovely picture, Alan, you're very photogenic, I have to say. I know who he works for and I know where he went to school. So if I scroll down to the bottom and look at his school details, I also know when he finished school, so I know roughly how old he is. Now, I've done a little search in Facebook as well, and just by searching for his name, I've come up with his a wedding photo from, I assume that's your sister, on there, posting a nice wedding for you and your
My
beautiful
wife, by the
wife.
way, not my sister. No, I'm joking.
um, and so we've got a picture of you on your wedding day. So I've got your wedding day as well, which is quite handy. I can then go to your Facebook page, and I'm not going to share timeline or anything. That this is not about embarrassing you too much, Alan. It's just about showing you vectors of attack. Now, I noticed that you went to Woodbridge School, and I also noticed that we've got some friends in common, and I know they all went to Woodbridge School as well, as did I. So I've got an attack that I could take out there, knowing a little bit about their processes and some of the old Woodbridgian activities, etc. I could also take advantage of the fact that your wife may not be as secure as you, but both of you have quite a lot of information on Facebook that's public. I'm sure after today you may go and change that, but I've got information that I could use for an attack. I could dig a bit deeper, so I could search for you in 192.com, and for a small price of around £15, I'd probably be able to get hold of your full address. Now, if I couldn't through that, there are other things I could use, but again, this is not about me showing you all the tools that hackers can use. It's giving you examples. I've also, by searching for New Anglia LEP on Company's House, come up with a list of all the directors and all the officers linked with that as well. And that's probably the vector I would take. So before I show you how I'd attack you, I'd just like to ask how you feel about that.
Yeah, it is quite scary, especially as I like to think that I'm quite careful. I don't, I don't share information, without thinking about it. I don't like to put my location services on and things like that. So I'm surprised that you found so much information, given that I consider myself to be careful. So I think I need to sharpen up a bit more and go into the settings and just be a bit more careful about what is available in the public domain.
Absolutely, so this was a search. I think it was an advantage that I have a couple of friends in common with you on Facebook. Commonly, people allow friends of friends to see information on Facebook, and that's one thing that you could be aware of. I would say though, undertaking this activity with a little bit of effort, this took me about 2 minutes this morning. With a little bit more effort, I could probably find all that information anyhow. So births, marriages, and deaths, all of that information is readily available online. Just by getting your name and where you work, I could probably find out your date of birth, etc. from that as well. So just be aware of what's out there. It's as important understanding what you've got out there as it is just trying to stop everything from getting out there. And as I said right at the start, 93% of new business is won through digital. So you don't want to remove absolutely everything. So now I'm going to show you how I could use that information to send you a spear phishing email initially. So I'm not going to go through anything that's really techie here. I'm going to show you, using my good friend Google, how easy it is to send a spoof email. So I type spoof email into Google, and the first organic search option on here is a fake mail client called Emkey's Fake Mailer. Now, I love using this because it looks so professional. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it on the screen. What this is it's a little bit of software that allows me to send an email and spoof the name of the person sending it and the email address. So I could go back into Company's House information, and I could take one of your senior members of the LEP. I could go onto the website and get their email address, and then I could input that into this fake mail client. I know your email address from the details that I found on your website as well. And in the subject, I could put there urgent, urgent business under attack. So I put that as there to disturb you. I could also put, I want to take some funding out. I'm offering you a free venue to run an event from. I could put anything like that to encourage you to engage with the email. Now, I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me type out an email, especially as when I talk and type, my spelling gets even worse than it normally is. What I'm going to show you is the key bit in the email that I would add to make sure that I got you to click on a fake link. So I change from plain text to HTML on the client, and I click editor. It's as simple as that, and it comes up with what looks like a Word document editing tool. and I want to put in a link because I want you to click on a fake link, Alan, and I want to send you to a fake website so I get your username and password for your internal systems. So I do www.hacker.com as an example of the website that I want to send you to. Now, if I just sent you an email with that link in it, would that fool you, Alan?
No.
No. How about if I had newanglia.co.uk?
Well, that's our URL, so there'd be no reason for me not to click on that.
There we go. So
yeah,
that's now what's on the screen. And it would be better if I spelled Anglia correctly,
yeah.
but we'll split over that. It's not like this is being recorded or anything. But so that's now far more believable as a link for you to click on. Now, there is a way of protecting yourself, and I'm going to hop over to a fake email that I got from Barclays, actually. It isn't obviously from Barclays. It's from an American university that's been hacked. So this is from Wayne University in Michigan. And as you can see there, they've hacked their domain name and created a fake email address. And Barclays has sent me a valued customer. There's been a new document uploaded to my cloud online storage. It's not, there's ways of picking that this is a fake email. First of all, they call me valued customer, but they should know my name. Also, the login to Barclays Online is a little bit dodgy. But what you can see is if I hover over the link, it's not actually taking me to Barclays Cloud It. It's taking me to bcol.barclaycard.co.uk.ecom as2.initial logon, etc. What it's basically, all of that in front is a smoke screen. That is a fake URL that they're set up from carolineyum.com, and they're just subdomains that they put in front of it to make it look more legitimate. That link there bears no resemblance to Barclays Bank. Just as if you hovered over the link when you got the email, Alan, it would pop up and say hacker.com on the screen. So that's how you can protect yourself against these kind of emails. I would say never click on a link in any email you get until you've looked at where it's going to take you to by hovering over. If you're on a phone, you can copy the link and paste it into a document and view the hyperlink if you want to as well. So there are ways of establishing where it's going to take you before you blindly click on it.
You're right to take a quick question?
Yes, of course I am.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll just see if she's on the line. Celia, are you there? Just unmute Celia. Oh, my unmute button doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so Celia texted in as well. She says, can you trust every website that begins https://?
The answer to that is no, because for $2 you can go and set your own one up. So you're looking at the actual domain name of where it's taking you to as the most important part. So certificates are a way of understanding that it's legitimate. So for example, if you're browsing with Barclays, it will say Barclays Bank UK next to Barclays in the URL on the screen, so on here. But as you can see, this site is set up with a secure certificate. And if I click on the certificate, it will tell me if it's a large company, it'll tell me the name of the company. Most parts, it will just say that this is a private connection. So pay for a certificate. You can't just trust it because it says it's secure. However, if you're shopping online on a website that you've typed in yourself, you should be looking for HTTPS and secure before you type information in there. Hopefully that makes sense. Just because it's got a padlock doesn't mean it's secure, but if you've gone in and taken yourself to that website by typing in the URL, then you're looking for the padlock to make sure that the information you're sending to that website is secure. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. So obviously, don't ever click on a link or an attachment to an email until you're sure of where it's going to take you to. If it's someone you know and they've sent you it and the link looks dodgy, you can contact them and say, did you send me this link? If it's not somebody you know, then you can go online and Google it first of all. That's what I'd say to do. So if they say, we'd like you to go to our the Amazon, the fake Amazon one's a really good one. It looks exactly like an Amazon email and it says that this has been dispatched to you. If you want to dispute this payment or this order, click here, log into your Amazon and go into your orders and see if it's in there. Don't click on the link. The same as if it says your card has been cloned or blocked, please click on this link, log into your online banking or contact your bank through your normal methods. Now, it's not just limited to fake emails. So I've got a number for you as well, Alan, and I promise you I could find your mobile number quite easily as well, I'd have thought. So what you can do here as well is spoof a phone call. So again, we use this client on here, which allows me to fake the caller ID. So I can fake the name or the number that appears on your phone screen. If that number's saved in your phone, obviously it'll come up as that person or that company. That's not going to be very useful if I'm trying to pretend to be your wife or your friend or your sister. However, if I'm pretending to be your bank or someone that I know you do business with, but you've never spoken to, that may give me the opportunity to speak to you. And then I can say your card's being cloned. I need you to give me your online banking password so I can go in and move the money out of your account to protect you. Now, if you get a phone call that comes to you and is asking you for personal information, be very careful what information you give out. You do, as someone who works for a bank, you do need to establish that you're speaking to the person you think you're speaking to. So you're going to have to ask some kind of security questions, but I'm not going to ask you your card number, the 3 digits on the back. I'm not going to ask you for your PIN number, your passwords, your online banking membership number. I'm going to ask you for pre-arranged setup questions. If you're not comfortable at any time, you end that call and then phone that company back from an independently verified number. It's not limited just to phone calls and emails as well, though, because you can do it with text messages. Again, typing that into Google, and you get up a list of fake or clients that you can send text messages with. If you've already received a text message from that number, these fake text messages will go into that conversation. So you need to be aware of things like text alerts from banks or delivery notifications from courier firms. If they've got a number to call, don't call that number. It could well be a premium rate number. If it's a link, don't click on the link because it could take you to a fake website to try and get your personal details or your passwords. Again, if it's asking you to call and it's from your bank, call your online banking number or go on online banking and check. If it's a known scam for this is things like a large amount of money has been taken out from your account, please call this number. If it's a text message with a link to say log in to find out more, just leave the text message and go to the normal website that you would do to log in. So they're great ways to protect yourself against these types of scams. The next thing we're going to look at.
Sorry, Joe. I quite often get ones from my phone provider, and it's usually offers, discounts and things. But and then at the end it always says, to opt out, text opt out, whatever, to this number. And I'm always even reluctant to do that. I just delete them because I'm not sure whether they are legitimate or not.
Absolutely, and that's the approach I take as well, to be fair. The same as if you're clicking unsubscribe in an email. What unsubscribing an email can do is, first of all, it's a link that can be spoofed, so it could take you to a fake website, or you're just telling the spammer that it's an active email address, and you just increase the amount of spam you're sent tenfold. So all of those type of things, it's almost about, is it a nuisance? Because you can just delete a text if it comes in. If you respond, you could be putting yourself at risk, and that's the approach that I personally take on that one.
Okay.
So moving on from social engineering, hopefully you've got an idea of some of the steps you can take to protect yourself on that. We're now going to have a little look at CEO and invoice fraud. So here are fraudsters could already have hacked your systems and be monitoring your traffic, or they could just be sending a phishing email to a load of businesses trying to get them to pay a fake invoice. It may not be an external payment address. It could be a internal payment request as well. So I see an awful lot of these in my day-to-day job. I get notified of frauds internally, so I can reach out to the relationship manager and make sure we're offering our staff support for helping the business become more robust after these frauds. So I see a lot of them, and the examples I'm going to share with you are very generic, but hopefully drill home the wide range of frauds that we see. So a few weeks ago, there was a £1.4 million impersonation fraud, a fake invoice or a series of payments made to a fake business. And from that, very little was recovered, so that the business actually lost £1 million from that one. On the other end of the scale, there was a CEO fraud last year where the business owner was abroad. he'd had his emails hacked, so the hacker was actually in his emails. He was away at a conference and he'd been having email conversation with his financial director because they were looking for new suppliers. The financial director gets an email about 4:30, 5 in the morning saying, I found a new supplier, they're fantastic, exactly what we needed. I'm going to get contracts drawn up, but I really want to secure their business, so can you please send £32,000 to these payment details to secure the business? Now the FD just forwarded that straight to the accounts department. The accounts department input all the details to make the payment. The only reason they didn't make the payment was because the accounting team reread the email from the owner of the business and decided that he's very unlikely to have said please in his emails. So who says politeness always pays? It's a case of, in this occasion, the hacker got almost everything right. They almost got the keys to the door, and then thankfully someone realised at the last minute that it's out of character for that person to be polite, and that saved them £32,000. It's not just amounts of 32,000. You get £100 invoices, you get £1,500 invoices sent out. You need to have a culture in the business of a process in place that enables any payment request with payment details to be independently verified. These scams can be followed up by phone calls. You don't independently verify it from the phone call that comes into you. You need to call the business by either an approved contact, so a point of contact that you've set up, that you're happy to go out there and know that it's them and check the payment details. If it's an internal request, everybody in the business needs to be aware of this type of fraud and needs to be accepting to challenge. So we see quite often that a business loses money because the accounts team are scared to challenge the directors because they don't respond, or they're just aggressive to them for wasting their time for checking that they'd made the request. That kind of culture will cost businesses money. Everyone has to be prepared to be challenged and to confirm that they did actually send the request. And please don't use the number on the invoice or the email. And it can be a spoof email that's sent through, or it can equally be a spoof invoice. And it's so easy to create spoof invoices because, again, using our good friend Google, you can Google invoice templates, and you've got a load of tools that allow you to create fake invoices, put in images that you find on the internet, etc., to make the invoice look more realistic. So again, please make sure that you have that process in place and you independently verify any change of payment requests or any new payment requests that come into the business. And please share this with everybody. The fraud, one of the frauds that was established last week that I was notified of, actually we'd done training with the owner of the business. He just failed to train his own staff, and he admitted that to us and was very cross with himself for not doing it. So that's what our hacker is trying to do with the invoice and CEO fraud. Next, we're going to look at public Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi in general is quite a risk, actually, if you're using it. So if you're using public Wi-Fi, I've got a bit of software on my computer that I can use to sit in a public space, and if the Wi-Fi isn't encrypted, I can sit there and log into the router and monitor all the traffic that goes to the router and all the traffic from the router to the people using it. I can sit there, and if you're using, say, an email client that doesn't encrypt your data at the point of your computer, I can read all your email addresses and passwords as you send them to the public Wi-Fi router. There's also a piece of kit called a pineapple, which is not a delicious fruit. It's a little black box that knocks out the legitimate public Wi-Fi and spoofs it, and sits there and records all the SSIDs that your device sends out that it normally attaches to, and then pretends to be them. So it can be Dave's home Wi-Fi or Costa Coffee Wi-Fi. And then when you're connected to that, you've got the ability to put landing pages in front of people and intercept information and sit there and open the envelope before it's sent or while it's being sent back to you and change the information in it to the advantage of the hacker. So there's a rule that I have with public Wi-Fi, and that is, if I wouldn't have a business conversation in a crowded room because it's confidential, I wouldn't send an email over public Wi-Fi, or I wouldn't look at the information on public Wi-Fi. I wouldn't do my internet banking on public Wi-Fi. I'd wait till I got home and was attached to my Wi-Fi, and I wouldn't I would only really look at browsing the internet, locating where I'm going to next, looking at the football scores, maybe updating my Facebook status, etc., through my app on my phone, because I know that that's got a bit of encryption on it. So you need to really be aware of this. Public Wi-Fi is a massive risk. When it comes to being useful to find information, great. When it comes to actually passing confidential information, just don't do it. It's as simple as that. The next thing we're going to look at is a distributed denial of service attack. So right at the start, or the beginning of this, I talked about Trojan viruses that can be set up on loads of different devices. These Trojan viruses can be used by attackers to create something that's called a botnet. So it's a large collection of computers, all with a virus, that can send a lot of traffic all at once to a particular server, a website, or a business, etc. And what that does, if we liken it to the physical world, it's like sending 1,000 people through the door of a very small shop. You can imagine as you plunge all those people through the door of the shop, no one can get up and down the aisles, the shopkeeper's stuck where they are, they can't move, the normal security systems aren't in place, and that allows our attacker to nip in and take the money out of the safe at the back. Now, I use this as an example because a denial of service attack is something that makes them use. So it's all the big hacks, the Ashley Madison, the Adobe hack, the TalkTalk hack. There were elements of smokescreen which started through a denial of service attack. However, nobody is too small not to be a victim of cybercrime. There's a florist currently on probation who went on the dark web and bought a denial of service software kit and downloaded it onto their computer and used it to attack their competitor the week before Valentine's Day. They're on probation because they did it from their computer on their Wi-Fi in their place of business. But it's a great example of how a small business can still be a victim of this. And even if you're attacking someone because you're wanting to attack a bigger fish, you might need to get their supplier, or you might need to get a communication stream that's going into another business. So just because you don't think you've got anything that's worth attacking doesn't mean that you're safe at all. Now, one of the ways you can protect your information, you should have your data encrypted, and you should also have strong passwords. That will mean that even if your normal security software doesn't work, so your 3 attempts at hacking a password and the account blocked can't work because the server has crashed, when the attacker attacks you, you need to have a strong password. And these are the top 10 passwords for 2015. As you can see, Star Wars came in at the end of the year and actually made an appearance in the top 10. Now, we know this information because when hackers steal information online, they publish it. And all the passwords are published from all of the major hacks. You can put them into databases and sort them by the most regularly occurring. And that means that you've got a list of the top or the most popular passwords. Worryingly, the same 500 passwords account for 70% of the passwords ever released. So it's something that we don't take seriously as a collective, and I think I know why. And I think it's fairly obvious. Be honest, and I ask when I do this live to people, be really honest. I'm honest. I find saving or remembering passwords a pain in the backside, and you should have a different password for every account, and I'll show you why in a moment. But I'm going to show you first of all why it's really important to have a secure or a strong password. So Alan, if we go to the second poll now, please. This tool here, this is howsecureismypassword.net, and it tells you how strong your password is. Please don't actually put your password into this, but I have a question for you. If I was to take a password, and the question that we've got on here is a password which is EUNFKI, so it's 6 characters, all lowercase. How long would it take for my computer to crack that password by trying every combination? So is it 8 milliseconds, 1 second, 2.3 seconds, or 2 minutes? So if you'd like to select your answers now, just let you vote on that. I might slide back if I can onto here. Yes, it does pop up onto my screen. Okay, so with the majority of you having voted, I'll keep it open for a minute or two longer just to let the 4 or 5 of you who haven't voted yet to vote. And then I'll allow how secure is my password.net to give you the answer. Okay, if we freeze it there, we've got nearly all of you having voted. And the most popular answer on there is 2.3 seconds. 44% of you thought that, 33% of you thought a second, and 17% of you thought 2 minutes, with only 6% of you, which for doing the maths is around one of you, thought that it was 8 milliseconds. So I'm going to type that password now into this tool, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters. And the answer is actually 8 milliseconds.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is all lowercase, so there's no variation in characters. It would take, I'm using just a really simple MacBook Air today. It would take my MacBook Air around 8 milliseconds to crack that password. However, if I use a special character, so I'm putting an exclamation mark, a 1, and 2 capitals, a capital Q and a capital W, my password has now gone up to 10 characters, and it's a combination of uppercase, lowercase, special characters, and numbers. And you'll see that it's gone up to 6 years. This tool prefers 13 characters, so when I've added 13 characters and of a variety, it goes up to 3 million years.
What happens if you type in password?
So that should be on the top. That should be on the top 500. So if I put password in there, Instantly. It will be instant, because obviously those 500 would be the first 500 that a hacker would try. It's a really simple bit of cyber fraud software called a brute force attack, which would just go through and try every single combination as quickly as possible. And because, as I say, the server's crashed and the normal security system isn't in place, they've got quite a while before all of that's up and running to try this. They'll try the first 500, the obvious 500 first. Now, that's why it's really important to have a strong password, but it's really important to have a different password for every account as well. And this is another site that I'm going to use, which will show you why that is. So, Alan, I've used your New Anglia email address to check this. What this allows you to do is to type in your email address and search to see if that email address has ever been published in a hack or not.
I have actually.
So I put your email address.
I put my personal one into this, and it said that I hadn't. This is my work one, which I haven't tested. So fingers crossed. So,
and the good news is you have no pwnage, it's called. So it's haveibeenpwned.com, and it's P-W-N-E-D is how you spell pwned. So I put my personal email that I use to send to spammers. So when I sign up to anything online that I don't really want spam from, I put this email address in. It's the one I first set up when I was 16. So if you've ever seen one of the Barclays life skills adverts when they're talking about having a stupid email address when you're really young, I'm a prime example of that. But when I put that email address in there, it goes, oh dear, I've been pwned, which means that there are 2 sites that have been breached. So back in 2008, when I signed up to MySpace and thought that was the best thing since sliced bread, I used that email address, and that's been hacked, and my email address has been replaced. But also, there's a spam list where they've done some data collection on me and collected my email address, probably from the MySpace hack, and my email address, IP address, name, and physical address could have been compromised in that hack from that email address. So I know that if your email has been hacked, your password's been published, they will try that email and that password combination and everything. So it's important for you to have a different password for every account. Now, I fully acknowledge that that's very difficult to do. I have over 650 passwords, and I know that because I use a password manager. From that, I lock my password securely through a 16-character secure password, and then it generates a secure password for every one of my accounts for me and stores them behind that secure password. I fully acknowledge there's a risk to that, because that strong password could be breached and then all my passwords are breached, but it's, for me, more secure than me relying on my email provider or, for example, BT Internet to make my email address secure, because BT Internet email addresses are actually run by Yahoo, and over 1 billion Yahoo email addresses have been published, including their passwords. So it's just one example of why you should have different passwords and how I use a method to protect those passwords. You could write them all down if you wanted to, but please don't put them in those repurposed address books that are now password books with it nicely written on the front of it, because one of your biggest threats still in your business could be an insider. somebody who's doing something illegitimate in your business, and if you've given them your password, you've been given them the keys to the business, and it'll be your fault because it'll be your account that was used to do the bad activity.
Joe, can I ask? I've got to be careful what I say here. Do you have a in quotes dirty computer? Have you heard of that expression?
So I don't, but I do a lot of work with universities, and we do have people who have that kind of thing where they will actually test things and use what's called sandbox servers as well, so they can unlock viruses and see how they progress through. So no, I don't myself, but I do know people who do.
Okay.
So hopefully now I've covered off obviously how to stay safe and some of the things that hackers are trying to do. There is actually government approved 10 steps to cyber protection, and it runs you through all 4 different stages of cyber attack. So I'm going to go through this quickly, but I'll show you where you can find this information as well. There are 4 stages to a cyber attack. There are your survey stage, when the hacker is actually casing the join, finding the weaknesses, and this is mainly social engineering. The delivery methods, and this could be through a spoof email. Also removable devices, things like USB sticks and removable hard drives are great ways to get viruses into systems. Drop a USB stick in a car park, like the American Secret Service did in Iran to damage their nuclear system, and then someone picks it up, finds out who it is, shoves it into their computer, and the virus has taken place on the computer. That is a breach of the system then, and we know already there's 230 days between the breach and the effect when they actually undertake the attack. So under these stages, there are things that you can do to protect yourself. So under the survey stage, you've got user education. Under the delivery stage, you can have a secure password policy, secure configuration, meaning that you only give access to certain systems to certain people, so you control who can access what. So do your marketing people need to be able to see what the people in the business are paid? Do they need full access to your HR website? Probably not. Do your accounts team need full access to your to your incoming marketing emails? Probably not. You can also limit the functionality of tools that people use, so software tools that people use, and turn off anything that's not needed. So for example, the ability to cloud share Word documents, or if all you're doing is just sending out invoices and things like that. You also need malicious software protection, and although that's really important, and your off-the-shelf software like Kaspersky, like McAfee, etc., all do a really good job on known viruses. You can't assume just because you've got anti-virus software that you're safe, because you need to keep that regularly updated, and it's only going to be scanning for ones that they know about. So you're still not just automatically safe, but once it's known, it will detect them and help you remove them from your systems. Your IT team or yourself, you can monitor the access of your systems, and a great way of picking up once you've had a breach is finding out that a computer is very active at 3 in the morning, and that's because there's some software on the computer that's sending a data dump back at that time when they think no one's in the office. Patch management is essential. So patch management, I'll hop out again and show you, is when you get this really irritating little red sign to say that you need to update your software, as I've got one on here to say that I need to update my operating system. In these, you will normally see on here, fix on templates, improve sync with rules. This is for my email client. There will also be security fixes in those updates as well. If you don't update regularly, then you will find that, and this is how the WannaCry virus actually came out, you will find that the hackers have reverse engineered or found out what patches have been delivered, and anyone who hasn't updated their operating system is vulnerable to that security risk, so they can build a virus that attacks that. So keeping your software and your operating system up to date is essential. Personally, have a process to do it, and as a business you should have a process as well. It shouldn't be the computer users, because another part of this is user access. People should not be logged into their computers as admin. It should be the IT person who's logged in as admin, because if you are logged in as admin and the virus is loaded on there and it pops up on the screen saying, just retype your password because we need to confirm that something can make changes to your computer, it's done and dusted. Whereas if you're not admin, that can't happen, and you've got that step and that safety in place. Having a good firewall, so network perimeter defense as well, is really important. And then if you are a victim, it's having a continuity plan, understanding that what you can do to protect yourself or to continue your business. Just like if there's a fire in your business, what would everyone do? Where would they go? How would they work? If there's a cyber attack, where's your reserve server? Where's your backup server? Where's your backup stored? How long will it take for you to install your backups? Do we need to consider anything else in our systems and our processes, etc.? So I'm going to share with you now. I'm conscious of time for everybody. We've got about 5 minutes left. I want to give you time for questions. There are other places you can go for help as well. So Kaspersky is free antivirus software that you guys provided if you're a Barclays customer. If you use online banking through Barclays, you can download that for free. You can, with things like BT, Internet Now, TalkTalk Internet, loads of different companies now providing antivirus software for free. Make sure you utilize that and make sure that you've got all your devices protected, not just your laptops, but your phones and your tablets as well. Barclays do run webinars like this webinar. If you wanted other people to take part, then please get in touch with your relationship point and they can put you in touch with dates. I would encourage you all to join the Cyber Information Sharing Partnership. Again, I'm going to hop out and go to that online. That is a online forum for businesses where it will give you articles and links around different types of attack, whether they're high risk or not, what you can do, articles, things from security experts and from businesses. It's a safe environment. You have to be moderated to go onto it. But I would suggest that you sign up and apply to join because it's a great way of keeping up to date, because what I've told you today will be out of date in a few months' time, maybe even a few weeks. There's also, you'll see at the bottom there, an accreditation that's available called Cyber Essentials. This is kind of your yardstick. This is how you can find out how secure you are compared to your competition, and you can show your customers as well. So it's an accreditation where you go to a questionnaire, and I'll click on the questionnaire, and you fill out the questionnaire and the questions and answer yes or no. If you answer no, so have you activated the firewalls on your personal computer? No, it will tell you then what you need to do after you've filled out all of the simple questions on there. It costs to get the accreditation. Someone will actually check you've answered the questions legitimately. It costs around £300 to get the accreditation. You can then put it on your website and show your customers that you are cyber secure. Cyber Essentials Plus is a next level up and requires more rigorous testing of your systems, and it runs into the few £1,000s. You can go all the way up to ISO 27001, which is like the A grade NHS government data systems, bank security system that's required to meet those standards. But these are simple benchmarks that small businesses can start to go towards. On this Cyber Essentials, you can go through the questions and see where you are and what you need to do without actually paying for the accreditation. Okay, so the last thing to talk about really then is what to do if it all goes wrong. So there are some steps that you can take. You need to report all cyber attacks, even if they're an attempt or a successful one, to action fraud. The more that is reported, 3.2 million last year, however, that was significantly underreported. The more they know, the more reverse engineering and data analysis they can run to actually catch the culprits and not the middlemen who are involved in the cyber attacks. If it's about your banking, so if you've paid money away to somebody, if you transfer money and you put the details in yourself, you're very unlikely to get that money recovered. The best way to get it recovered is to notify your bank as soon as you realise it's been a fraud, and they'll do the best they can to freeze accounts. They work really hard with all the other banks. So we do as Barclays, I know our fraud team, a lot of them operate out of Norwich. They have 24-hour coverage. So do the other banks. As soon as they're notified, they will trace that money as quickly as they can. But once it's come out as cash or it's been transferred abroad, you're very, very unlikely to get that money back. If you get a phishing email that pretends to be from Barclays, we like to hear about it. So internetsecurity@barclays.co.uk is where you forward those to. Just hit forward, type in that, and you can send it to us. We close down around 30 fake websites a day. And that's everything I had to cover off. It's been a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully that's been useful for you. I'd now like to open up and say, are there any questions at all?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You have opened our eyes, I have to say. A lot of what you've covered is actually quite basic, though, isn't it? It's having a strong password. If you're following up with phone calls with the finance person or the CEO, making sure that what they've asked you to do is by email is what they want you to do. Not using banking, public Wi-Fi networks, and all that sort of stuff. So thank you so much. Some excellent tips there. Alana has asked a question here saying, you might not be able to answer this, Joe, but can you suggest a secure, reliable password manager for the best way to store passwords? I guess there's lots of them, and you probably can't recommend one, but I may be wrong.
No, you're totally correct. Yes, and thank you for putting that caveat in. I can't recommend. I'll give you three, but I would Google it and do my own due diligence as well. So there's Dashlane, FirstPass, and LastPass. They're three well-known brands out there. I use one of those. I'm not going to tell you which one it is because that could be seen as recommending. But there are a number of them out there. What you need to just do is have a look at the password manager site itself. Decide if you're happy at how they store it, but also you can go on some of these web forums and ask questions as well, and you'll get people recommending them and giving you the reasons why they choose theirs. It's personal choice for everyone, but they're three to get you going.
Nice one, thanks, Joe. If you do have a question, you hit the raise your hand button and you can ask your question live. A comment from Jamie just says really good information. Thank you. So thanks, Joe. What else? Have we got any more here at all? We did have, I think we covered this. Mike says how good are commonly used antivirus suites like Norton, AVG. I think you said if they're known threats, then they're good. Right, we've got Rachel. Rachel, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Do you want to ask your question to Joe, please?
Hi. Yeah, I check emails and our admin site for our website and stuff, and I'm on holiday using hotel Wi-Fi. Is that safe to do, or should I not do that?
So if you're logging into the site remotely, unless you're using a VPN, you potentially giving a hacker your login details. So I would say that it's better not to do that. The best way to do it actually is to set your phone up as a hotspot and use 3G or 4G. That's what I do.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Rachel. Nicola also says, fantastic. Thank you for the information. Any more questions at all? Just hit the button, hit the raise your hand button. We can come to you, or any other questions coming in by text. This is being recorded. We will put this online as well, so if you want to catch up, watch it again, or send it on to any friends or colleagues, you'll be able to do that. So I'll send the links out later on. Don't forget, next month as well, end of June, we're going to be running a session on GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. So again, I'll send out the links for that. So I think that is everybody. Just like to say a huge thank you to Joe Cooksey, Barclays Digital Eagle, for that superb presentation, and thank you all for joining us on this webinar. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.